Hello there, welcome to Chipola College Basketball. I have here our men's coach, Brett Campbell. Brett, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Always good to see you, Royce.
Well, now you're a happy camper. Why are you smiling so much today?
Well, things are kind of going in the right direction for us. We've put together 4 wins in a row and feel good about our basketball team, the way we're playing right now. And, you know, we're always a work in progress, trying to get ready for the conference in January. But I do like the way our team's approaching every game and how they're focused, and I think we're continually getting a little bit better.
Well, why do you have different starting lineup every time?
Well, try not to do it every time. But, you know, it's probably not written in stone quite yet, and some people are kind of stepping up, and sometimes you got to get their attention a little bit more. And we're really trying to get our players focused on the defensive end. I'm not really worried about the offensive end. I think we got a number of players who can score the basketball, but you know, to win a championship, you've really got to defend and finish out possessions and rebound. So that's really where we're trying to focus is on the defensive end. And when people buy into that and everybody buys into that, I think we got a chance to be a pretty good basketball team.
Well, a lot of coaches have a goal of this is how many points we want to score on an average. This is how many points we want them to score. Obviously, coaches like you say, well, we want to just score more than they do. But what are your goals?
Well, we don't. We actually go into each game with a goal, as you said. Really, it's 35 or less a half. With the clock, it used to be 30, but now with the shot clock down a little bit more, there's a few more possessions in each game. So, you know, that still gives you 70. Our ultimate goal by January, going into conference time, is we want to hold teams under 65. And you know, sometimes that's realistic, and sometimes it's not. But if you do that on a consistent basis, you're going to win your share of basketball games. But the other thing we pay a lot of attention to is defensive field goal percentage. And if you hold people under 40% field goal percentage, you've got a great chance of winning most games also.
Wow. Well, you know, last year we struggled. That's before Campbell. So we struggled a little bit. And everybody wants to play us now. Have you seen that yet, or is that just my... You know,
well, I think people want to play us for a couple different reasons. Chipola still has that name, you know, and I always kind of make the analogy that we're the Kentucky of junior college basketball, with the tradition and the success that Chipola has had over the years. So I think we're always going to get everybody's best game when they do show up and want to play us.
Well, how many players are you going to really play, do you think? 12?
Well, we've got 13 that can step out on the floor right now and play. You know, one of our players, we redshirted this year, so actually we've got 12. I think we can go, you know, 10, sometimes 12 deep, but typically you're going to play somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 or 10 players.
Well, I asked them. They come right by our studio here on the way to the ACE lab, and that's a savior for anybody that's in school. They help you with your grades because they tutor our students helping students, and it's amazing how well that works.
We are very fortunate here to have Bonnie in charge of our ACE lab and a number of students that help our players, and you know, the number of athletes here and just the typical students. But that ACE lab is a savior, and that's a huge benefit for our athletic department, but also all the students here on campus.
Well, as they come by, you know, and I'm outside some, I just always ask the questions. How's your shooting? He said, it's not the shooting I'm worried about, it's the running. Coach is going to run us to death from one end of that court to the other. He wants us to move it. And that's why he said, I said, well, then you better be in shape. He said, well, most guys are in shape, but he said, you got to get over. I used to play the entire game when I was in high school. And he said, now we come here, you play about half the time. And he said, I'm learning that that's the only way you're going to win on the JUCO level.
Well, I think the intensity at our level is a lot different than the high school level, and the type of talent that you're playing against. And again, you really got to focus on that defensive end, and the amount of time you're going up and down the floor because of the shot clock. You don't have that in high school. It's a different style of basketball.
Go over that shot clock for the folks that are watching that might not understand it totally.
Now it's a 30-second shot clock, and so you know, all of a sudden there's probably 10 more possessions in a game, and that's typically a pretty fast-paced game up and down anyway. There's not a lot of shot clock violations in junior college or in Division I basketball because people get accustomed to that 30-second clock. But they just want to speed it up. I think the NCAA wants more points on the board and wants more entertainment that way.
Well, where are most of your kids from? Can you don't have to name the kids, just name some places.
Well, of course, you know, Antoine Johnson is just right down the road from Malone.
Right in our county here.
You know, and that's great. We love to have local players. I think he brings a lot to the team. Not only is he a good player, but he brings a pretty good fan base. You can hear
true.
them on a regular basis. But, we'd like to recruit within a 4 to 5 hour radius. I think that's ideal. But also, occasionally, we're going to have to stretch out, reach out and get a few other players. We have 4 international players on our team. Paris, France, Gambia, Africa, 2 from Amsterdam. So we've got kind of a wide variety of players in different environments that they've come from. It's a bit of a melting pot sometimes.
The Amsterdam kid, his dad was here a couple of weeks ago.
David Hahn's father, sure.
David Hahn's. Okay, I'm trying to learn how to say these two. So I interviewed him on the halftime of the game, and he loved it. And I said, "Why do you want to be at Chipola?" He says, "My son wants to play ball with the best." He wants to play with the best. Well, I'm impressed the way he does not mind going to the basket when they're running that zone. He'll go straight on in there amongst the...
David's a very hard-nosed player, and that's why he's getting to play quite a bit. He had 10 rebounds in our last game, and he's not afraid to fight inside and battle, and that's encouraging.
Well, what happens if your three-pointers they're not on? You just can't get them to put it in the basket. What do you do?
Well, you probably need to put it in your holster a little bit and try and get it to the rim and get to the free throw line. And we've had some of those nights. You can't live and die by the three.
Nope.
It's just, you're going to have some nights, like you said, you're on, some nights that you're off. But you got to make sure you play inside out. And that's kind of our goal, is we want to get it inside and then fan it back out. But if you have some type of balance, you're going to have pretty good nights. But you can't count on that long-range shot on a consistent basis.
If I call another college and I say, "Tell me, Coach Campbell, what kind of stuff does he run?" What are they going to say about you?
Well, I think what we try to do on the offensive end, number one, we try and push the ball before the defense gets set to get some early baskets and easy baskets, number one. And then when we are in our set offenses, we usually run some sets, typically quick hitters, where we can get our players in the best position that they are effective to score the basketball. And each guy has a little different effectiveness on the offensive end, so I try and place those guys where they can be successful and where they can score.
What happens if a guy is a three-point shooter, one of your best, and then he misses 2 in a row? How do you get him to quit worrying about the misses?
Well, I try to encourage him. You still got the green light. Try not to put the handcuffs on him. Those guys know who they are and who they aren't. So that's something you kind of identify through the preseason and as the season goes on by looking at their shooting percentages. As if you're shooting it really well, you've got your green light's a lot brighter. And for some reason you're not shooting it really well, it's time to get in that gym and continue to work on it to let me give you a little bit more of a green light as opposed to a yellow or red.
Well, how's free throws going? We were ahead one game and we could have put them away, and we missed a couple of free throws, even though we won the game. But those were our better shooters.
They were. That was one of those nights that we did not shoot the ball extremely well from the free throw line. It continues to get better, but that certainly can be an Achilles for a good basketball team. If you don't make free throws going down the stretch, you allow somebody to come back in. I know the game you're talking about, the Cape Fear game.
Yeah.
But it's just something that, like anything else, it's repetition, and we've got to put time and effort into it on a regular basis.
Well, how do you practice free throws? Go on the line and shoot?
Well, I think you have to be rewarded, and also if you do miss, there has to be some penalties, some consequences. So we add running to miss free throws in a certain amount of time. We make sure when we end practice every day, we move it up a free throw every month. So we're walking into December right now. You have to make 7 free throws in a row. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it gets you into a rhythm before you can walk off the floor and head to the dorm. So
that's not one coach, Coach Campbell. He would make the kid run from one free throw line to the other and back before he could shoot, because in the game you have just been running.
Exactly.
And so I said, "Hey, that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's really working, but
that's not a bad
something
idea.
to be
sure
thinking."
Sure. And you need to shoot them when you're winded in the middle of practice.
Well, when the pressure is on, that's when you think you got to make it. But if it's the first 2 minutes of the game, you really that free throws just as important as that one.
Well, you don't remember it quite as well, but you're exactly right. Free throw miss is a free throw miss, and those are points that you're taking away that are easy to add up on your end. So it's critical, and I think you see when you get to the Final Four, or when you get to Hutchinson, the really good basketball teams usually have a pretty good free throw percentage, and they're a team that's aggressive that gets to the free throw line. And we talk about that a lot, that we want to shoot more free throws, and we want to make more free throws than our opponent even attempts. So that's certainly something we try and strive on a regular basis.
Well, since I'm covering all the basketball in the month of December now, you won't be here all the time, but we got 6 games left in tournaments, or classics we're calling them. 2 of them are men and one's women, I think.
Right.
I don't remember.
We actually have a classic the first weekend in December, the 5th and 6th, where we play on a Friday and Saturday, and then we also have we're back here right
16,
before
17,
Christmas.
16, 17.
Is the women's classic.
Then
we're back on the 21st of December,
Yeah.
Right before everybody breaks for Christmas.
Well, if you're watching this now in the end of December, that means it's already happened, okay? If you want to watch, but you can go online, chipola.edu/athletics.
You got it.
And you can look at the schedule and all that, but please come to the games. But obviously football's over basically for most everybody. Florida's crying, and Mississippi State's crying, and Georgia's crying. No, they're happy because they beat Georgia Tech. But basketball's where it's happening now, so we want to invite you out there. Coach, anything you want to say in closing today?
Well, I just always appreciate your support and the support of the community. We want to encourage anybody and everybody to come out. I think they'll see a good brand of basketball and a good evening of entertainment, and we certainly want to invite everybody out there to come see us.
Good luck to you, Coach.
Thank you, Royce.
Coach will be back next month. Probably before the December he'll do another one. But during the season, you'll be able to see him every week. And it will be on local TV, but mostly it'll be on our websites. So you can invite others. He's going to start bringing players in to introduce them to you in the community and to you other coaches that are watching to see how we're doing. But we have a good team. Got a little bit of way to go, but we're going to do that. But I appreciate Coach Campbell. But most of all, I appreciate your watching Chipola College Television.